Every conspiracy begins with a question someone wasn't supposed to ask.
In the summer of 1947, something crashed in the desert outside Roswell, New Mexico. The United States Army Air Forces issued a press release stating they had recovered a flying disc. 24 hours later, they retracted it. It was a weather balloon, they said. The story changed, the questions didn't. And somewhere in the Nevada desert, behind fences that don't appear on official maps, on a base that the United States government refused to acknowledge existed for decades, something was happening, not what people thought, but something. This is not Independence Day. Before we go further, let's be clear about what this episode is not. This is not about the Area 51 you know from Hollywood, not Independence Day, not the first X-Files movie, not the dozens of American screenwriters who reach for Area 51 whenever they need a convenient explanation for something they can't otherwise justify. In popular culture, Area 51 has become shorthand for everything: alien autopsies, reverse-engineered spacecraft, underground tunnels, shadow governments. It appears in so many films, television shows, and video games that the mythology has almost completely replaced the reality. But here's the thing. The reality is more interesting than the mythology. And the reality starts with a question that popular culture never quite asks. Why Nevada? Look at the map. Groom Lake sits in the middle of the Nevada Test and Training Range, a vast restricted military zone covering nearly 3 million acres of desert, completely isolated, unobservable from any public road, surrounded by mountain ranges that block sightlines, close enough to Las Vegas to have infrastructure, far enough from everything else to have absolute secrecy. If you were going to build the most secret military installation in the world, a place where you could test aircraft that don't officially exist, where failure means a classified crash in classified territory, where Soviet satellites would struggle to get clean imagery, you would build it exactly here, not because of aliens, because of geography. The conspiracy makes sense not because of what people imagine was inside, but because of what the location itself demanded: secrecy, isolation, deniability. That is where the real story begins. The place that didn't exist. Area 51 is a classified United States Air Force installation located at Groom Lake, Nevada, approximately 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. For decades, the United States government did not officially acknowledge its existence, not because of aliens, because of airplanes. The U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter. Some of the most technologically advanced aircraft ever built were designed, tested, and refined at Area 51. In complete secrecy, during the height of the Cold War, when Soviet intelligence was actively trying to understand American military capability. The secrecy was real. The reason for the secrecy was classified, and the gap between what the government admitted and what people could see with their own eyes, strange lights, unusual aircraft, unexplained maneuvers in the Nevada sky, was wide enough for an entire mythology to grow inside it. That mythology had a name: the extraterrestrial highway. What people saw. In the late 1980s, A man named Bob Lazar appeared on a Las Vegas television station and claimed he had worked at a facility near Area 51 called S4. He claimed he had seen and worked on extraterrestrial spacecraft. He described 9 flying saucers. He described an element called Element 115 that powered them. He described a government program so secret that his personal records had been erased. Bob Lazar could not prove his claims. He also could not be entirely disproved. His employer records had gaps. His educational credentials were difficult to verify. The government neither confirmed nor denied his employment, and that ambiguity, that careful, deliberate absence of information, was itself the fuel. Because when a government lies about what it is doing in a specific location, and someone comes forward with a specific alternative explanation, the absence of official denial becomes evidence of confirmation. This is the logic that Area 51 produced for decades, not because aliens were there, because the truth that was there was classified, and classified truth and hidden truth feel identical from the outside. The U2 and the logic of necessary deception. In the 1950s and 1960s, the CIA was operating U2 reconnaissance aircraft over the Soviet Union at altitudes commercial planes could not reach. When Soviet radar detected these aircraft, which they did, and when civilian pilots reported seeing unusual lights at extreme altitudes, which they did, the United States government had a problem. They could not acknowledge the U2 program without compromising intelligence operations and revealing the extent of American surveillance capabilities. So they lied. They attributed the sightings to weather phenomena, to atmospheric conditions, to the imagination of witnesses. A 1997 CIA report later acknowledged that over half of all UFO reports from the late 1950s and 1960s were actually U2 and SR-71 flights. The government had systematically misled the public, not to hide extraterrestrial contact, but to protect classified aviation technology. The lie was real. The content of the lie was different from what anyone imagined. And this is the central lesson of Area 51, one that applies far beyond Nevada. When institutions lie about something real, they create the conditions for people to believe they are lying about something much larger. The 1947 Roswell incident. Let's go back to Roswell. What actually crashed in the New Mexico desert in July 1947 was, as far as the historical record now shows, a high-altitude balloon from Project Mogul, a classified program designed to monitor Soviet nuclear tests using sensitive acoustic equipment carried by balloons at extreme altitude. The initial press release about a flying disc was issued by an overeager local public affairs officer who didn't know what he was looking at. The retraction was issued when the classified nature of Project Mogul was understood by those higher up the chain of command. The cover story, Weather Balloon, was technically inaccurate, but operationally necessary. Project Mogul was classified. The real explanation could not be given, and so the gap remained. A gap into which, over the following decades, an entire industry of speculation, testimony, and mythology grew. Bodies recovered, autopsies performed, technology reverse-engineered, a government cover-up of the century. None of it confirmed, none of it entirely disprovable, because the government had already established, beyond any reasonable doubt, that it was willing to lie about what happened in that desert. The government confirms it exists. In 2013, the CIA declassified documents that officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 for the first time, not because of alien spacecraft, because of the U-2 program. The documents confirmed that Area 51 had been used for testing classified aircraft. They confirmed that the government had systematically misled the public about the nature of activities there. They confirmed that UFO sightings in the area were largely attributable to classified test flights. The conspiracy theorists, who had spent decades insisting the government was hiding something at Area 51, were right about one thing. The government was hiding something. They were wrong about what. And that distinction, right about the hiding, wrong about the content, is one of the most important patterns in the entire history of conspiracy thinking. It is the pattern that makes conspiracy theories so difficult to dismiss entirely. Because sometimes the instinct is correct. Sometimes institutions are hiding things. The question is always, what are they actually hiding and why? The Storm Area 51 moment. In June 2019, a Facebook event called Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, was created as an obvious joke. 2 million people RSVP'd. The United States Air Force issued a warning. The FBI investigated the organizer. The small town of Rachel, Nevada, population approximately 54, prepared for an invasion. On the day itself, approximately 1,500 people showed up. A few dozen approached the gate. Nobody stormed anything. But the event revealed something important. The mythology of Area 51 had become so embedded in popular culture, so thoroughly a part of how people understood government secrecy, that even a joke could mobilize millions. Not because people genuinely believed they would find alien spacecraft, but because the underlying feeling that something is being hidden from us, that we are not being told the truth, that the official version of events is incomplete, that feeling is genuinely widespread. And it finds its expression wherever there is a gap. Area 51 is one of the most famous gaps in American institutional history. What it tells us: Area 51 is different from the other subjects we have covered in this series. Flat Earth was wrong about everything: the shape of the planet, the nature of the conspiracy, the motivation of the institutions involved. QAnon was wrong about its specific claims, but right that institutions can fail catastrophically. The protocols were a deliberate fabrication used to commit genocide. MK Ultra was real. Area 51 sits in a different category. The conspiracy was partially right. Something was being hidden. The government was lying. The cover-up was real. The content was different. Not alien technology, but human technology. Not extraterrestrial contact, but Cold War surveillance. And that partial truth is what makes Area 51 so instructive. It shows us that conspiracy thinking is not always wrong in its instincts, only in its conclusions. The pattern recognition that says something is being hidden here is sometimes accurate. The leap to the most dramatic possible explanation is where it goes wrong. The gap between classified truth and imagined truth is where conspiracy lives. And as long as institutions maintain secrets, as long as governments classify information, as long as official explanations contradict observable reality, that gap will exist. Something will always fill it. So what do you do with that? You could dismiss the people who spent decades staring at the Nevada sky and believing in something extraordinary. It's easy. There's no shortage of material. Or you could ask what they were actually telling you, not about alien spacecraft, about the relationship between governments and the people they govern, about what happens when official explanations consistently fall short of observable reality, about the gap, always the gap, between what institutions do and what they say. Area 51 existed because geography made it logical. The mythology of Area 51 existed because secrecy made it inevitable. And the lesson, the same lesson this series returns to every episode, is not that the believers were right. It's that the institutions that created the conditions for belief bear some responsibility for what grew inside them. This is Conspiracy Explained, not to debunk, not to mock, to understand. Because the ideas that seem most absurd are often telling us something true, just about the wrong thing.